In 2023, a group of scientists studying ancient bones in South America made a shocking discovery. Deep inside a cave in the Amazon rainforest, they found something nobody expected: Filipino DNA. Yes, Filipino. Thousands of miles away from the Philippines, in a place where most people believe Filipinos never reached, this finding changed everything we thought we knew about ancient history. The world had to pause. How could this be possible? How did Filipino DNA end up in the Amazon? And what does it mean for the story of human civilization? The scientists were confused too. They double-checked their machines. They tested the samples again. But the results were the same. Among bones that were thousands of years old, there were clear genetic markers linked directly to people from the Philippines. And not just any region, northern Luzon. It was as if a Filipino walked across the Pacific Ocean thousands of years ago. That's impossible, right? But science doesn't lie. The team expanded their search. They collected more samples from nearby areas. And guess what? More Filipino DNA was found, not just in the Amazon, but in parts of Peru, Chile, and even Brazil. The deeper they looked, the stranger the story got. Then they made another discovery that pushed the mystery even further. In a small village near the Andes Mountains, locals were found speaking a language that had surprising similarities with an ancient Philippine dialect. Some of their words matched almost exactly with Old Tagalog and Ilocano. They used terms for family, water, stars, and animals that sounded like they came straight from the islands of Luzon. People began asking, is it possible that ancient Filipinos traveled to South America long before Columbus, long before Magellan, and long before anyone thought sea travel was even possible? According to official history books, Filipinos didn't have long-distance ships. But archaeological evidence says otherwise. In Palawan, a boat known as the Balangay was discovered. It's over 1,000 years old and it's massive, big enough to sail across oceans. Could these boats have been used to explore the Pacific? Could the ancient Filipinos have been the first to cross the sea? That's not all. Cave paintings found in the Amazon showed people with features similar to Southeast Asians. They wore ornaments that looked like those used by the indigenous groups of the Philippines. They even practiced similar farming techniques, like the way they used water systems to grow rice on hills. It was becoming impossible to ignore. All signs pointed to one shocking truth. Filipinos may have reached the Americas long before the Europeans. And not just reached. They may have influenced cultures there. One professor from the University of São Paulo said, "This is the most shocking discovery of the decade. We're rewriting ancient history." But not everyone was happy about it. Some historians tried to deny the findings. They claimed it was a mistake. They said contamination must have occurred in the lab, but the genetic tests were clean. They were double-checked by experts in Europe and Japan. The results were identical. Filipino DNA was real, and it was old. Some samples dated back over 4,000 years. That's older than the pyramids of Egypt. And then came the biggest bombshell. A mummy in Peru, previously thought to be Incan, was retested. Inside her body was the same Filipino DNA signature. Her clothes had patterns found in ancient Philippine textiles. Her burial position matched that of pre-colonial Filipino traditions. The evidence was overwhelming. Still, many people asked, how did Filipinos get to South America? The answer may lie in the ocean currents. Marine experts pointed out that strong Pacific currents move west to east. If a boat left the Philippines, it could drift naturally toward South America, but drifting isn't enough. They had to know how to sail. That's where the ancient seafarers come in. The Austronesians, ancestors of modern Filipinos, were among the best sailors in human history. They traveled to Madagascar, Hawaii, New Zealand, and even Easter Island. So why not South America? This story was no longer a wild theory. It was becoming a new chapter in human history. But why has nobody heard of it until now? Because it doesn't fit the traditional narrative. Most history books are written from a European perspective. They talk about discovery as if it only happened when Europeans did it. But what if ancient Filipinos had already explored the world? What if they had their own age of discovery, one that never made it into the textbooks? The idea shocked the world. Social media exploded. Millions of Filipinos started asking questions about their ancestors. Where did they go? What did they do? What else are we missing from our history? Filipino pride soared. People started exploring their heritage in new ways. TV shows were made, documentaries aired, museums updated their exhibits, and more DNA research began, this time in Central America. In Guatemala, more surprises were waiting. Some Mayan symbols looked eerily similar to Old Baybayin, the writing system used in ancient Philippines. Could there have been contact between these two ancient civilizations? Maybe. Some artifacts found near Mayan temples had seashells that only exist in Southeast Asia. How did they get there? No one could explain. More and more evidence piled up. Then an ancient skull discovered in Ecuador showed mixed DNA, half local, half Southeast Asian. Scientists were speechless. Was this the child of a Filipino voyager and a local woman? It looked that way. This discovery opened the door to a brand new theory, that Filipinos didn't just arrive and leave, they stayed, they married, they raised families, and their blood still runs in the veins of many South Americans today. This DNA might have survived for generations, passed down from one family to the next. It could be hiding in plain sight, in the people, the culture, and the traditions of modern South America. Some researchers are now looking at music and dance. Instruments in the Amazon bear similarities to Philippine kitang. Rhythms used in tribal ceremonies echo those found in Mindanao. Even food offers clues. A dish popular in Peru called pachamanca involves underground cooking, just like the boodle fight or traditional pit roasting in the Philippines. Could this be a shared origin? Some say yes, others still resist, but the proof keeps growing. And as more people dig into this mystery, the picture becomes clearer. The Filipino story is bigger than we ever imagined. It's not just an island story, it's a global one, and it may be older than we think. What if ancient Filipinos weren't just survivors of colonization, but pioneers of exploration? What if the islands weren't the end of the world, but the starting point? This story flips everything. It challenges the idea of who got where first. It brings pride to millions of Filipinos who've always been told they were on the sidelines of history. Now they might be at the center. And it's not just about DNA anymore. It's about legacy. It's about truth. It's about giving credit where it's long overdue. The future of this research looks exciting. More ancient remains are being tested. More languages are being compared. More clues are waiting in dusty caves and underwater ruins. And each discovery brings us closer to one stunning conclusion. The Filipino people have been part of the world's journey far longer than anyone thought. So the next time someone tells you history is set in stone, remember this. Deep in the jungle of South America, inside a forgotten cave, scientists found a piece of the Philippines. Not in a book, not in a map, but in the blood of ancient bones. And that changed everything.